On today's Success or Excuses podcast, we have the one and the only Laurie Macpherson. Welcome to Success Excuses podcast, Laurie.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, James.
Amazing. Tell us a little bit about you, Laurie. Let's get started there.
So I am a career and LinkedIn mentor. I mostly help mid and senior level women to take the next steps in their career. Usually they have a ton of options, James. They've done lots in their career. There's tons of things they could do, but they get in that bit of analysis paralysis. Plus, you know, they're being told and they're hearing stories round about them that there's only certain ways you can work. And if you work for these companies, you can only do this. You can't get pay rises if you do. And all of that is not necessarily true. It's all just about carving out showing your expertise and carving out a bit of a space for yourself, showing your USP to the world. Mm-hmm. And the other side of that, which I learned through running the business for the last 6 years, was how to use LinkedIn, both as an employee to find new jobs and as a business owner, particularly those who've built their businesses on Meta, on Facebook and Instagram. Yep. And are now finding, well, we know what's happened this week. It's not yours. You don't own it. You don't own LinkedIn either. But the rules and the algorithms can change so frequently.
It's horrendous.
It's horrendous. And, I know.
And we'll talk about it in more detail.
Oh, we will. So it's not easy. And actually, could you use LinkedIn instead to get in front of a massive audience of business owners like yourself? But
your ideal target market.
Your ideal market are sitting there waiting on you, but you're saying, oh, it's a bit icky, or it's a bit corporate, or it's a bit dull, or I don't know what to say.
And it probably used to be.
And it used to be, 100%.
I remember way back in the start. I mean, I really started using LinkedIn in 2017. Yeah. And I had like 300 connections. I think I've got 32,000.
Yeah.
But I remember then, because I used LinkedIn in my early years before I actually knew what LinkedIn was.
Exactly.
For hiring people.
Yeah, of
so
course.
Back in 2013 when I first joined LinkedIn, I only used LinkedIn
to
find people to hire for my oil and gas business.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's jump in there. So Meta, Facebook, they're all great platforms, right?
Yep.
But they constantly change the goalposts on us. Constantly change the goalposts. What worked last week won't work the following week. In fact, I don't know if you know this, they've introduced the AI into it.
Yeah. I do, and I'll tell you how I do. One of my really good pals has just lost this week. Now she's got it back. Our 49,000 strong Facebook group because of the AI mass deletions, bad actors. Another Facebook group I've seen this morning, I think she's got 55,000 members, has gone. They'll get them back.
Yeah.
But imagine if that was your entire life's work.
I know.
It's just. I mean, it's terrifying. It's devastating. They're not. We don't own them, and we can't control what they're going to do next, and it might not suit us, as a person, as a business owner.
It's hard work. And by the way, that leads us perfectly into the LinkedIn, right? Because I'm huge on LinkedIn. Our whole kind of, even all their employees, they're kind of part of their HPA, high payoff activities. LinkedIn. I mean, all staff, marketing, trainers, coaches, everybody, even our accounts. LinkedIn's a big thing. Mm-hmm. The reason is, we're B2B, right? Yeah. And all my ideal clients are on LinkedIn.
Of course they are.
But do you know what we used to do? This is how we did it wrong. And I'm going to ask you for to dive into this a wee bit, right? We used to sell on LinkedIn, right? Because I've got a big belief, if people don't know you're there, how are they going to buy for you?
Exactly.
So our message was always sell, right? And by the way, we made loads of money and we still do, right? Because it's almost like throwing spaghetti at the wall. Some of it does stick.
It does,
right?
absolutely.
End of. Some of it does stick. I mean, I've had a lot of people saying, not so much now, but definitely in the early years, mass message. Yeah. I would blast it. Mm-hmm. But I would make a lot of money. Yeah. Because for the 10,000 messages I sent out, I'd get 200 replies. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it does,
But it's changed.
It has changed.
It's changed. And the reason I know it's changed is because even I delete their messages now.
100%.
And it's, for me, it's all about authenticity. So I'm going to dive in there. Tell me, talk about LinkedIn. How did you get into LinkedIn? Why is it important?
So I just started using it, James, originally before I was in the business and work, because I worked in employability for 3.5 years before I started. And I used to use it a wee bit. And I had a sort of inkling. I thought, I quite like this because I like writing. I'm not a visual person at all. So the the whole Instagram thing, taking pictures, like I did it, but it was very much for friends and family. It's not still, I posted have a look at my grid. I posted a carousel last night, and it's still ski whiff with the new dimensions still, you know, and we're months in. I just can't get my head around it. I just think, oh no, I keep forgetting about that. So I got into it just to promote myself and then to promote the business, and did, like you, always sold, and I do believe firmly that business sales is part of the mix. It has to be. People need to know. People need to know what you're doing, or they can't buy it. And I'm working with a style editor, Sam Harmon, right now, and her brilliant phrase is, "If they can't see you, they can't pay you." Yeah, and that's true. They just
absolutely.
They don't know you exist, and people forget that. But business sales is, like you say, one part of the puzzle. The bits that are working really well, and I'll be really honest, my business sales post where I say buy my stuff gets 300 views.
Yep.
The post about how I've just moved into a house with my boyfriend and his Rottweiler, 15,000. People absolutely crazy picture of dog. I always say to people, you know, I don't have any kids, I don't have any animals until now the Rottweiler come into my life. They're the ones that people love, you know, and a few months ago, I posted, who's the person who's not giving me a day off between Christmas and Easter? That would be me. The comments on that, because it's real. Because this is what business owners... So 2022, James, like, we were all looking for the yachts and the shiny and the aspirate. We're done with that now. And what's working is... I've had a really bad week.
No bullshit.
No bullshit. But out the other end, and there is, you know... I've spoken about this and I've heard it said, you know, speak from the wound, not the scar. The scar, not the wound, the other way around. Don't do it while you're in it. You know, don't say I'm having a shit month, because that's not going to inspire confidence. Yeah. But what you can do is, I made some mistakes. Really shit month, but here's how I got. And here's some mistakes I made, and here's some things I've learned. And when I've written like that, I've written Substacks and posted about it on LinkedIn. Business owners love it, because we need some reality around. Absolutely. This notion we live in a world, James, where lots of my career clients will say, oh, I can't get a job, I'll just start a business. You know, hollow laugh. Like, yeah, because that'll be so much easier. Dearie me. And that's the world we're living in, because everybody thinks, oh, I can just start a business from my phone, it's dead easy. I mean,
you can.
You can.
But it's not easy.
But it's not suited to everyone's personality type either.
Absolutely.
You know, I said to someone the other day, so you'll probably spend 70% of your time marketing.
Yep.
And her face dropped, but I just want to do my Reiki.
If not more.
Tough. You know, and I said to her, tough. No one knows that you do your Reiki, and no one knows how good you are until you market. Yep. Market like you mean it, and consistently market yourself. So for me, part of the market mix is a bit of sharing authority. So shouting about the fact that I'm here today. I'm in one of the broadsheets this week. I'm doing some work in my PR. I share that all the time. Has it brought me clients, James? No, never. But it really helps your credibility, your authority in the space. And then
it's like kind of the thought leadership thing,
isn't it? Thought leadership. Yeah. And I know people go, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this phrase to you, but I need to do thought. Yeah, you do. Because what that means is just people think you are the expert in your space. You get tagged. If anybody needs a you get tagged, because and I always say to people, you create that. I created that. If anybody needs a CV in Glasgow, I get tagged. Yeah. Now, sometimes it's not my jam, or they're not my jam, and we're not each other's thing, but it happens because I created that. I was everywhere. I've networked relentlessly for the last 6 years. Yes, I enjoy it. No, it's not hard for me, and I know it is for others. But in the mix of LinkedIn, personal with business sales and authority is working like a dream. And those personal posts, they're the ones people like. You know yourself, when you put up a milestone, a celebration, an award, people actually like to get behind it and celebrate. Do you know my biggest
post? I'm going to go back to what you said about the scars. Right? So about 2 months ago, I took a step back from being the face of the business, right? So last year, because I've obviously built quite a strong team now, and last year I'd says to the team, I can't be the face of the business all the time, right? I need just to step forward. Most of them are all business owners who own the business and have came to work for me. So they've been business owners, they've been in leadership management in their own companies, and they've been business coaches, or they've all ran a business, right? So they all get it. Right, and I said to them, this time last year, I need you to step front, or the power within's going to be James Fleming. And how am I ever going to be able to sell that in the future? Because it'll be me, right? And I started this business with the end goal of selling it, whether it's to employees or to somebody else. 10-year plan, right? So nobody stepped forward. Nobody stepped forward, and I let it go, and I was trying to push, and you can only so much you can push people to go and do this stuff. And they would do a wee bit here, and they did a wee bit there, but nobody stepped forward.
No.
So anyway, in January, I've got a really good friend called Ellie Mackay, and Ellie runs a podcast called On a Mission.
Yep.
And it was the largest podcast in the UK. A few things happened and it kind of dropped quite, but it's starting to pick back up. So she's got a massive amount of followers. So anyway, she invited me on her podcast, and it was October last year. And she was talking about my book. So I wrote a book, Success and Excuses. So she was talking about the book, and we were talking about my story. And after it, she says to me, James, you need to be much more front and centre in this business. And I says, but Ellie, I don't want the power within to be with me. She says, but what's wrong with being about James Fleming, who's the founder of the Power Within? So I'm like, oh, do I really want to go back down this route? Because I've done it. I did the networking. Every training, you go into my Facebook, right? And I was videoing every other day. Before vlogging was a thing. Right? Because how was people going to know?
Exactly.
Anyways, so I thought about it. Anyway, we ended up being really good friends with Ellie. And she came up to our house in January. She was staying with us a couple of days. She lived in England. She came up in the January, and we were sitting. And she says, James, you need to get your own podcast, and you need to be out there, and you need to be talking about the real James. Know the power within, know the business. You need to be talking about you. Your mindset, your problems, your challenges, the things that keep you awake at night, the things that piss you off, the things that, that drive you, right? So end of January into February, I thought, right, okay, I need to do this. I thought, started my podcast. And then I started changing the way that I spoke on LinkedIn. I started putting posts about things that piss me off. Right now, I'm a big advocate for women in leadership, right? The reason I'm such a big advocate is my life experiences have shown me some of the best leaders I've ever met in my life are females. Right? But a lot of the mistakes that they made, Laurie, was they tried to become like a man. They tried to take on this male traits and characteristics, this aggressive that we believe is leadership, and we know that's no leadership. And when I interviewed them and when I spoke to them later on, their biggest regrets were that. So I really got a bee in my bonnet, but why is that? Why do women need to think like they need to be a man? Be a woman. Like God's saying, you've got superpowers. Like your DNA, emotional intelligence is DNA up to that. Lead with that. Do you know what I mean? And I started writing about it. And then I would write about the comments I received. Some men would be like, oh, here we go, man. I'm not a man basher, by the way. I am not a man basher, right? No. Not at all. But I also know the value that women bring. End of. Right? I mean, my wife is our co-founder. I don't run the business. No. She runs the business. I'm the face of the business, but she runs it. And I started writing about that. Now, 2 weeks ago, one of them went viral, had like 96,000 comments. It had 217 reposts. And this was about women in construction, because we're quite big in construction.
Absolutely.
And this was about women in construction. And I was just saying, like, the stories that I hear are horrendous, and the amount of females, like, I'm not in construction, but I've got to put up with the same shit, and it went absolute viral. Real, raw, no bullshit.
Absolutely. And talking about, sharing an opinion. So it was very vanilla. You'll know this, maybe, I don't know, a year ago, all I saw, right? And also you can train, obviously, your own algorithm. Don't like these posts if you don't like them. Top tip was all those 100 carousel, slides from AI bots, tech bros. I don't like it. It's not my jam, And now having an opinion. I remember the first time I spoke about the big shame of female business owners going back to work because they can't make money. And they're sitting there in a place of utter shame and failure, thinking, I've failed at this, I can't tell anybody. And I had a conversation with a friend and said, this is not a badge of honour. Like, you can't afford to buy yourself a new top.
Absolutely.
This is why are we doing that? You're 40, you know what I mean? Why are we playing this game? Business ownership does not work for you. You don't have the discipline to do it. You're in an industry where everything you do is criticised because it was one of those things where people have to approve or disapprove it. Get back to work. You know, and if only there was someone who can help me with that. And I helped her back in, and she's now in a job, and she's been in it for a couple of years. And no one was talking about it because it's this like, oh, we have to all be business owners. No, it's not for everybody.
It's hard.
It's really hard. And when I talked about
it never gets easier.
And this is the thing that someone says to me the other day. I'm doing some business mentoring just now through Skillfluence for Highlands and Islands Enterprise, and it's an amazing thing to be involved in. One of the young business owners, you know, and I suppose this, you know, not knowing what money's coming in every month will get easier. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. I do have a level of recurring now, but it's not. There's months I would wake up. I remember it was last November, James, and I was like, looked at my spreadsheet for November. I was like, okay, what's coming in this month? Like, you know, guaranteed that I know is coming, that's on an invoice. And the answer was 0. Nothing. Not a single penny. Now, what's coming out it does not stop.
No,
the business expenses, the house expenses. I was single, mortgage, all of that. And I'm like, oh. And I would get the work. Clients would drip in, and it was always found it. We always found it. You know,
I might talk about that next week.
You do something, but it's that horror, and it really never gets easier because you've got to win the work, do the work, and win the next piece of work, all simultaneously, and keep all the other plates spinning. And sometimes we drop them, you know.
Absolutely.
But the when I wrote about that, and it has a name, it was called, during COVID, people leaving business in their droves was called, you know, the Great
Resignation.
The Great Resignation.
I wrote a post about that.
Oh, so many people left finance, and I want to find my purpose. And you know, I had an email yesterday morning like, Laurie, I've been ill, I need to find my purpose. I'm like, you and everybody else, and it's really hard right now. But yes, let's go for it. You know, it's not a short-term plan, it's a long-term plan. But now it's called the Great Re-entry, James, because lots of folk are realising they're not making money, and or they're working every hour God sends. They're actually better off in a job.
Absolutely.
So we need to talk about the reality of this. It's not for everybody.
I was better off when I had a job. Okay, I do have a purpose. I've got 17 staff, but our wage bill would make me great.
Oh, I don't.
We're nearly 100 grand a month in wages. Every month.
I've said this to business owners who are like, you know, how's your year been? He's like, yeah, look round at you all. You know, that gives me the absolute fear every month. I have to pay you all, and I love you, but you know, and
the money worries don't go away, and the stress doesn't go away.
It's never, ever easy, and we need to. We're not talking about this enough.
And that's what the podcast is about. It's about the people, the things that we don't talk about enough. I want to go back to the business owners, the young entrepreneurs, or the female that come into entrepreneurship and business owners. Business is really, really fucking hard. Excuse my language, but it is fucking hard.
Yeah.
It never ever. I mean, I've got 17 staff, right?
Yeah.
I still work most weekends.
Yeah.
But it's not because I need to any longer.
Yeah.
It's because I want to be ahead of the game, right? I've built this mindset, skill set, and routine.
Yeah, it's a habit, isn't it? A lot of it's habit.
Because I can't do a lot of my creative stuff during the week.
No.
Because of staff, right? And things like business. You know, business happens.
Yeah.
So I choose when I've not got anything on, which is most of the time, the weekend is my creativity time.
Yeah.
That's when I come up with my ideas, or create new courses, or, you know, I target markets and what's our problems, and that's, and it never ever goes away.
No,
I mean, I used to think when we hit £1 million, I've made it, right? And then
no, and I was listening to it
because your vision gets bigger, like, and your goals get bigger.
And I was listening to a really good podcast, Helen Pritchard, as she was, that made all her money on get leads from LinkedIn, and it's a great podcast.
I know her.
Yeah, she's.
I joined that, by the way back 4 years ago, maybe. Yeah, she first started that.
Yeah, she was one of one of the first. And
I remember.
It's really honest, and I really like it, and I really like her style because she says exactly that. We went for the mill, we hit the mill, and I wasn't people. Oh, how ungrateful! It's not ungratefulness. It's what's next, and you know, one of my friends ran the London Marathon this year, and there's right, well, I've been putting all my energy and time into this. What's next?
Yeah.
And there is a flatness and a feeling of you don't feel that.
I've ran a few marathons. I know the feeling.
You feel the elatedness and joy straight, but the day after,
and the pain,
it's like, and the pain, it's like a total come down, isn't it? So she talks about that hitting the mill, hitting the big figures, and actually, it's like we always want more. That's why we do it,
because our expectations get higher.
Yep.
So we were like, right, I've done this. So not everybody, but most entrepreneurs have got that kind of, right, I've got here.
And I want more.
Next?
And you get lifestyle creep as well, don't you?
You get lifestyle. Although I've got to say my staff probably will make more salaries than me, but hey ho.
You do. You want better and bigger for yourself. And why not? You're working really, really hard for it.
Absolutely.
So, you do things that make life easier. Everybody I know talks about the first thing you do, getting a cleaner, because, your per hour is better off spent, doing something else. I took my clothes into
ironing.
the ironing man the other day, 16 t-shirts, bring them back, all done, dusted.
Do you think how long it would take you ironing?
Well, and with extremely bad grace and loads of swearing as well. So.
Absolutely, thinking you could be making money staying something else.
Exactly, or sitting and actually having a glass of wine and enjoying myself. So yeah,
chilling out. Absolutely right. Let's go back to the female business owners, right? Because this is a really, really good, interesting subject for me. So talk us through that stereotypical. So we had the Great Resignation, right?
Yep.
And women were getting to think, I can do this for myself. And by the way, COVID was probably a not bad time to have that it, right? Because everybody's home.
Everybody's
right?
home.
Everybody's still got money.
Let's be honest, lots of businesses thrived.
Well, we did.
We did. I did.
We absolutely thrived as well.
My business doubled 2020.
So did mine.
2021, it doubled from 2020. And, abnormal growth and lots of course sales, but we know this. It was a massive boon, wasn't it?
Massive.
So loads of businesses as well. And I think people, when they do the whole, this and that, and lockdown, it was, there was lots of terrible, terrible, terrible things. Lots of businesses thrived really, really well, and lots of businesses played the game, and I mean that in a great way, and found opportunities. And whenever I saw a business in Glasgow, James, taking the opportunities, let's put a beer garden outside the most shonky bar you've ever seen. I used to cheer and think, yes, because we've got to take what we or not. I got zero, not a single cent, because I wasn't that long in, not a single cent from UK PLC. I was on my own. I remember someone saying to me at one point, I had COVID myself, and I was like, I need to work because I need to invoice. And it was like, but what about your savings? And I was like,
no, you're on a business.
I've checked everywhere for those savings. They do not exist. As soon as things opened up, I was out spending joyously because I hadn't been locked in I was on my own as well, as a massive extrovert. Like, no, as soon as I was at the gig, every gig that was going, we were at the very first things that opened up, and everybody's saying, you're not scared. No, I'm delighted. So I just went out. I was one of those, let me out. So I think we forget that there's another side, and people are sometimes scared to say COVID was really good for us. COVID was really good for me.
Right. But it's hard business.
But it's hard.
I want to stick to this. This is something that whether they're maybe people in their career and they're watching the podcast because they're thinking I'd love to start in business.
Yeah.
What would you say? We'll talk just females right now, because I know that your speciality is women and leadership and business. And what would you say to them? What's your kind of advice? What would you say to them if they're sitting thinking about it?
My first bit of advice is save some cash while you're still in work. And what I sensibly did before I got made redundant was opened my credit card while I still had a salary, so that I had a bit of space to put some expenses on. Just gave me a bit of and I didn't get massive redundancy. I hadn't worked there for long, but I had a couple of thousand in my pocket, James, and a bit of money on a card that I could start, because you need some cash to start.
You need that.
Even just
you don't need money to start a business. Shite.
You can't.
How are you going to market?
How are you going to market?
Absolutely.
And what I would say though is in my world and careers, the CV is the biggest procrastination tool for females.
Yes.
I can't do it until my CV is perfect. Your CV is never perfect, because what job are you going for? We don't know. So how do we know what they want to see and hear? You can never finish your CV until you've actually sent it in for a job. Sorry, not sorry. Every single job needs a new CV. Just the top bit, you need to tailor that every single time. You need to use the right language.
That's the bit that I read.
That's the sexy bit.
That's the bit that I read. Is the top bit.
And
see the rest of it, I scan it.
Especially with AI.
It's that bit at the top.
AI doesn't have time. It doesn't have any nuance. It doesn't have much of a brain. It just needs you to tell it straight away what it does. I love it. So personal summary, amazing. And in the business world, James, women use their websites as a procrastination tool. Once my website is finished, ready, I can go. And it's a hiding mechanism, because if I'm not out in the world, nobody can reject me. It cannot succeed. But also, that's the reason.
This is subconscious.
It's subconscious stuff. It's hiding. And someone said to me the other day, what about branding and all? And I was like, look, this is all for down the line. See, when you start, you need a product to sell or a service, and a way for people to buy it, like a physical link.
End of.
That's it. Like all the rest. And see, when I look back at some of the stuff I put out, but also, the saying, if you put it out If you're not ashamed of what you put out first, you put out too late.
Aye,
we
absolutely.
have to go with done is 100 times better than perfect.
When I look back to Facebook, because LinkedIn wasn't my thing when we first started in business, I squirm.
You should.
Some of the posts, because I had to do most of the posts myself.
I did
I
loads of
couldn't
video.
afford marketing people.
No.
So I was using Canva.
Yeah.
So I was using
Badly.
Canva.
No doubt I
Badly. Very badly. But it was brilliant.
It was so good,
right?
'cause it's all
you could
free.
Aye.
Yeah.
And I really squirm.
Yeah.
But I still won business because I was out there.
We were out there.
I was out there. I was doing videos.
Oh.
I mean, when I first started, right, to build my first programme, Laurie, what I did is I'm serial networked.
Serial networked.
So I was a serial networker for the first 3 years.
Yep.
I would talk at any event.
Yep.
Every event and any event, I would
have
go
you.
there.
Yep.
I would talk. And I started to run free. What was it? There's a platform, Meetup.
Yes.
Meetup is it called?
Yeah.
And it's a free platform. And I would have meetups. So in Glasgow and Lanarkshire. And I would ask, see, because I was networking, see the businesses, if they had boardrooms, I would say, can I use your boardroom on Wednesday nights only for a couple of hours? I'd go buy cans of Coke, right? I'd order a couple of pizzas in. I'd have maybe 5 or 6 businesses in, and I'd do a free presentation around mindset, leadership development, management development, personal development. An hour and a half, 2 hours to try on my material. And then the next time, and I'd get because there was feedback forums, and then the next time I'd try it again and try something. And that was how I built my very first course was called Self-Leadership Development. And that was how I built my first course, because I didn't wait for perfection. First of all, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, I really didn't know. I knew I used to be a leader and I used to be a manager, but that was it. Right? I've not got a training development background.
No.
Right? None.
Don't need it.
So, and by the way, networking for me was horrendous initially. I mean, people think I'm an extrovert, right? I'm no, right? I'm not an extrovert.
Lots of people extrovert for pay.
Aye, right. So
they have to.
I remember I was up in Aberdeen, my very first networking event, and I walked up the stairs. This event was in Aberdeen Sports Hall, and it was upstairs. And I remember walking up the stairs, and I could hear everybody. And I walked by the door, and I never went in. And I walked down the stairs, and I'm like, James, come on, man. You used to fucking run, $1 billion business. Get your act together here. I'm back up the stairs, and I walked in, and I was terrified.
It's terrifying.
Until I got over that.
And
then I made myself go to another one, and I made myself talk to people.
Yeah, I make myself.
I make myself.
And I remember,
and I would constantly change the people I would speak to as well.
I remember being at an event.
And all of a sudden, I'm a serial networker.
Suddenly, we're everywhere. And I remember being at an event last year, James, with a pal, and we were sitting blending to each other. And we do all this. I've got loads of good business buddies, so you sit and chat to them. And then I said, right, we need to go and talk to other people. And she was like, oh no, I knew you were going to say that. And I'm like, well, I'm saying it because we're here for a reason.
Absolutely.
Who do you want to speak to? I'll introduce you. I don't know them, but I'm going to go and introduce you, and I want you to do the same. And it was like, oh, ick. But it worked beautifully.
Absolutely.
And we have to do it. So women's biggest things that they tend to do to start with is exactly what you said about that. You didn't know everything. They feel they have to know everything about it. So one of the worst things I see, particularly women in the kind of wellness and holistic-y space, I need to do another course.
Aye.
No, you don't.
No.
You need to start. Start.
Absolutely.
Book
Trial
a church
test.
hall.
Aye.
Get a free room and start. Oh, but what about, and I remember literally a few years ago, James, I was doing some work for Connect 3, who I'm also an associate for, and it was one of the programmes.
That's my competition, by the way. Just saying. No, we're not really.
It was one of their programmes, and it was a woman, and she was sitting in this room surrounded by books. And she said to me, not a word of a lie, I need to just read one more book before I can start. Before I can start. And I said, no. The time for reading books is over.
Absolutely.
Like, we learn by doing.
Absolutely.
You learn so much more
by doing and getting it wrong.
Get it wrong.
Trialing it.
Doing it again. That didn't work. Here's why. I've done it so many times. You will have too in training rooms. I've gone in, I've said, gave them too many choices there today. I need to stick to the plan. Or, because, I can be quite rigid, I need to not be rigid. I'll give them too many choices. And that doesn't work for me. I need to be more rigid. I need my timed sheet. I need to know that the break's at 10 past 10. Everybody goes to the toilet for 5 minutes and control the fun. I need that. So, it's just that start, not waiting for a perfect website, a perfect branding. My logo's not right. Stop it. Like, these things are important as you grow.
Absolutely.
And to attract the bigger and better clients and the contracts. We know that.
You need them
but
for
to
sure.
start, get started.
I'm on my 4th website.
I know, and mine's is
First one,
too.
about it.
I built my own as well. And I'm not remotely technical. My Wix website did the job for many years. And someone actually did a podcast not that long ago, and the man was sort of saying, oh, it's interesting that you've still got a Podia website. I was like, that I built myself, but I sell all my courses from it. Yeah. So, does it work? I was like, it's a really hard question. Would I get more with a big, shiny website? I don't know. But it's not my first priority. My first priority is doing the
big shiny website is going to cost you 20 grand. Think about how long you got, how many customers you need to make that 20 grand back.
That's the thing, and that's what women do. So they put all this money, front load all the money into things like a website. I've been in a room when someone said, I don't want to turn the website on because I'm still working, and I'll when I start to get clients, and I said, that's not how it works.
Nope.
Nobody nowadays goes straight to your website unless they know you first.
Absolutely.
Unless you've got amazing SEO, and
you see something, they've seen a post, they've seen an ad,
they've heard,
and then they might go to your website.
Absolutely. And the other thing is ads. So I'm using Facebook ads, and I've learned how to get them super cheap. And I'm in a membership. I pay a mini mind, and that's part of my learning and I do it myself, right? And I hash it up, and I test, and I do all the tests, and it's the first thing I look at before I go to bed.
Though that Facebook ads algorithm, because they change it all the time.
First thing you wake up, how's my ads doing? Before you go to bed, how's my ads? What am I turning on and off today? And it's a running joke, but folk throw money at thinking I'll just throw money at something that isn't working, and it'll suddenly work. No, you need to test that it works and then put an ad in to amplify
there's a quote,
that.
if you keep doing the same thing over and over, you expect different results. Insanity. Albert Einstein.
It really is. So so many things that are all around kind of perfectionism, waiting too late, not investing early enough. I'm a huge believer. I invest heavily. I know you do too, in learning, training, development. For me,
it's my life.
I don't know everything.
It's my life.
Yeah.
It's part of my life.
And I'm always looking for the next thing, the next mastermind, I'm in a mini mind just now, the next course. I'm not one of these serial buyer and they sit on my shelf. No. I only buy when I need to. And I don't know if you remember lovely Karen Yates, who was around in the networking scene. Loved Karen. I was in her first membership.
So was I.
I loved Karen.
I went to her very first workshop in Edinburgh. There you go.
Yeah.
I went to her very first workshop in Edinburgh. Karen was a great baby. Karen Yates, she passed away.
She did. She
sadly,
was incredible.
but she was good, wasn't she?
She really was.
She was English.
Oh, she was just lovely. Her thing was just in time learning, not just in case learning. So not accumulating all this knowledge for no reason, but learning something you need to learn to improve a thing, and doing that relentlessly. So I'm a big believer in paying for training and learning and development for me.
Absolutely.
And also joining things. And my pal, Nikki Hutchison, who's a marketer, she talks about being a joiner, and her and I are relentless joiners. We join memberships, masterminds. It's all about meeting more folk, new folk, getting in different rooms, new rooms, stretching yourself. And I think we can tend to shy away from that and want to just stay in our own little cosy bubble, because the business part's hard enough.
Aye, absolutely. You're a part of another big group that I absolutely love. Is it Glasgow Glow Girls?
Yes.
That's a brilliant group, isn't it?
Do you know, the membership is just incredible.
A lot of business gets done in that group.
A huge amount of business, James. We've got our Meaty Friday tomorrow. Last Friday of every month we meet, and that was because during COVID,
Laura's coming on my podcast.
Oh, she's fab. Yeah, I spoke to her this morning. She lost the group went down this week, the big main group.
Did
and the whole Meta bots.
With that thing.
Yeah, so she's back. It's back, but it's been a squeaky bum week. We're talking about it this morning. So she has an amazing business membership, but during COVID, that was our support network. Some of the girls, one was a wedding supplier, one was an events manager.
And their business was
just gone overnight. And people
my business was gone, by the way.
People used to
ours was face to face.
Cry on calls, you know.
All my business was face to face.
I know.
See, on the 23rd of March 2020, my life
just
ended in front of me.
Mine too, because I was
oh no!
I was face to face leadership training. Small. I'd just only been started less than a year. I was doing fine. It was ticking along. But someone asked me, "How do you manage remotely?" And I had to say, "I've no idea. I've never done it." Can you help? And people were asking, "Can you help us with this?" I said, "No, because I don't know. I don't know how." I had a piece of work cancelled, did another piece of work cancelled, and I thought, "Oh my God, I do not know what I'm going to do here." It's horrifying.
I was the same. I was actually in tears, by the way.
Yeah. I had terrible panic. The tightness of the chest, all of that stuff.
I was looking at my goal board, and I'm looking at all the contracts that we had, and it was just, it was literally, honestly, call after call after call.
It's just horrifying.
And you can't see anything.
What can you do?
You can't see anything.
No one knows what's happening.
And you get it, you understand it, because I'm also cutting all my costs.
Yeah,
I'm also cutting all my costs, because and then I thought to myself, it was actually Ines, my wife.
Yeah.
We're looking when we've been away out for a walk because we go for walks in the morning. We come back in and I'm looking at the goal board, and it was a beautiful day. And I remember I had tears in my eyes and I was like, look, this is everything we've worked for the last 2.5 years.
I know.
This is everything we've worked for. We've built this. And she turned and she says to me, but the people have nowhere away. We just need to change the way that we run the courses.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how are we going to do that?
Yeah. And we don't know the how.
Aye,
but we know we need to do something.
That's what she said. Don't worry about the how.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Do you know, have you ever heard of a thing called Upwork?
Yes.
We went to Upwork and I hired designers, I hired tech people, and I said, I need my courses to go online. We bought a what was it called? Right now we use LearnDash, but then it was the back end, but then it was actually another program, I can't remember. It was brilliant, really expensive, but brilliant. Yeah. And I just basically says, here's all my course stuff, and I'd obviously have all the teacher's notes and all that, and all the videos, and I just basically sent them and says, build that online.
Make that happen.
Within the first month, I was running courses in Saudi, obviously with my contacts in the Middle East, Saudi. I was running them in Dubai. I was running them in Kurdistan. And I'm like, well, I'm onto something here.
So I remember vividly being sitting in a 4 networking, the number 4 networking, which I was part of at the time. I was a big part of it. I used to run the Glasgow.
There was one in Bells Hill as well, I believe, wasn't there?
Yes, there was. Yes. So at Glasgow Hard Rock was my I was group leader, and my pal Barry Clark was area leader.
Barry.
Yeah,
Barry.
And we were
Dunedin.
And we were in the room on Hard Rock, the biggest meeting we'd ever had on the Friday, and by the Monday it was all shut. And Brad Burton, who was then chairman, founder of 4 Networking, we had started the first online meetings, and he said, he told us, he said, I've done the same, my goals, my plans, down the toilet overnight, but I've had to stop and think, what does this make possible?
Yeah.
What does this let us do? That's exactly what we did. And I remember the first client I got who wasn't in Glasgow, because everything else was face to face, who needed some career help, and I coached her on Zoom, and it was like a revelation. If I can do this to her, I can do this to anyone, anywhere in the world.
All of a sudden the world opens up.
The world is open. And I don't have that many local clients. You know, I still do have an odd, and I've got one next week. I'm going to go and we're going to lock ourselves in a room and get our plan down. But usually Zoom makes the world accessible.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing.
Absolutely. I would say 90% of our training is all virtual, because we don't need to do one-to-one. It's no one-to-many. So we work for a lot of big companies now, and they've got bases all over the UK.
Yeah.
So we've got, let's say, a women leadership programme. We can have females at any part of the country. Yeah. And they're all dialing in. They're all in the same room. They get put into their breakout rooms. And yes, we do still miss them. We still run face to face, very rarely, but we still run them.
And I do love getting in a room. I do. There's something great about it, you know.
I mean, I still do. I do some for Scottish Enterprise, Leading with Change programme. I run them, so I still go because I still love.
Yeah, I still love it.
I love it. I love the buzz. I just love it. Also, I love the buzz. I love the buzz. But the shirt and tie and all that's gone now. It's jeans.
It is, and I did one last week for Glasgow Girls. I spoke about LinkedIn in the room at the Blytheswood and had a great day. But you're shattered after it, James, because it's face to face, personal questions. You know, during lunch and all that, you give so much away and so much energy. And I sat down in the morning. You're trying to check your phone, and someone comes in and I need some help because I'm pivoting, and you're straight in it. Right, here's what I would, and it's all your energy, isn't it? And
absolutely.
That's something we have to watch and be mindful of. But I remember at the beginning everybody had Zoom fatigue instead, and now it's exhausting going into a room.
I know, but the world has changed. And by the way, that leads us into kind of that. The world of business has also changed.
100%.
Right, it's changed. You know, in fact, I think there was a statistic that the amount of businesses folding is more than it's ever been any time in history. Yeah. The people just saying, I've had enough. And it leads back to what you were saying earlier. It's that great, so we had the Great Resignation, what is it you've called
it? The Great Re-entry. Go back to work. You know,
people are just thinking, this is hard shit. I've been skint for 3 years.
Yeah, and you get all that with women, and it really annoys me. Like, I haven't paid myself a week. Well, somebody's paying for your dinner, and and bills. And sometimes, I've definitely seen this in the networking world, James, that women who don't have to earn their living, women who are making a supplementary or very little income in a household because they have a husband or partner who pays, move differently to someone like me because I had to. Because
no choice.
There was no choice. There was I either wanted to eat or I didn't, and then I always want to hot holiday. I've done 3 workations in Mallorca for a month the last 3 years, taking the laptop, had an absolutely brilliant time.
I set my business up, by the way, was doing exactly that.
You can't whack it. And with the first year I did it, I thought, oh my God, my business is going to collapse in embers. And actually I came back and it was fine. It's always been fine. But there's that kind of like, oh, well, I don't really want to put myself out there, and oh, you're always out there. I had no choice because I wanted the things I wanted. I love a hot holiday. I've always said this. I don't like walking up a hill. I don't like the great outdoors. I like a restaurant, a dinner, and a theatre and a hot holiday. They all cost money.
Absolutely.
And I was on the hook for paying for everything. Yeah. So you have to move differently when you want to make the money.
Absolutely.
And it is a different mindset to some people that can afford to. Oh, I'm trialling this and I had to trial in the reels, like I'm trialling it, but I need 20 folk to sign up. So
listen, I've got a saying, right? It's in the want to that you find out, and that's what you're saying.
Yeah, that's it.
That's what you're saying.
I'll always figure it out.
You're basically saying, like, if you really want it, if you really need it enough, you'll find a way to get it.
Yeah.
Like you will. I remember in the early years, 2018, we were a year and a bit into business, and it was tough, man. It was really, really tough because me and my wife, none of us, we gave our careers up.
Yes, you know.
I'd done all our savings in. Right, on the multiple websites and the branding that you think you need to have, and it was all a waste of money. Because the real branding was on live Facebook Lives. That was where the real branding was, the Facebook Lives.
Your brand, sorry, not sorry.
Aye, and I remember when I first came back from the Middle East, I'd always a nice savings, and I went and bought a brand new Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I'll have that one there, thanks very much. And I had to put it up for sale.
Yeah, it's mortifying, isn't it?
I was a year in.
I know.
And I had no savings left.
I know.
And I'd contacted buyanycar.com.
Yeah.
And this was, so the car, I was to take the car down on the Thursday. They gave me a price for it.
Yeah.
I was taking it down on the Thursday, right, to sell it, to get money. Because I'm thinking, I'll just have to go networking in the bus. Like, whatever I need today, I'll need today, right? Doesn't matter. And I'm thinking, that's about 20 odd grand. I'll get, right, I'll really seize for a wee while. Because all of a sudden now, because you become a lot more frugal with your money.
100%.
Right, when you're on a business. Before, when you're a career, you're not as frugal as you're when you're on a business. Anyway. And I remember I had a meeting with a girl who, she was the learning and development coordinator for a big pharmaceutical company. Her aunt had came on one of my training courses about 6 months before.
Yeah.
Her aunt had told her about me. She was going through a really hard time. She'd been on an NLP course.
Yes.
And I'm an NLP master practitioner. Anyway, and she would phone me up and she was in tears and she's like, oh, I'm really having this hard time. And the lecturer's saying this and this. And she was really, really upset.
Yeah.
And I just sat down and I just blathered to her. It was night time. It was like, this was the week before. So this was, let's say, the Wednesday or the Thursday. No, tell a lie. It was a Friday because she was coming home at the weekend.
Yep.
Right. On the Monday, she phoned me and she says, are you available for a chat? Right, this is the Monday. I'm taking the car in the Thursday, right?
Yeah.
This isn't the Monday. Are you available for a chat? The next day we met in the Doubletree in Hilton and Bells Hill, and she says, look, I'm putting together a leadership and sales programme for our team.
Yep.
Could you help me with this? Manty's been in a course. She says it was the best thing she's ever been in her life. This is incredible stuff. Can you help me? I says, I know all this. So I sat and took the notes and blah, 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 and what you needed in the sales training and mindset and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, a couple of days and I'll get back to you. As soon as I was home, I was like,
of course you'll
building this thing, this thing, right? This is what's going like. And I sent him, it was $4,500 for 2 days' work. And I sent her the invoice. And she's like, no worries. Do you want it paid now?
I know.
And I'm like, was that too cheap? Like, I'd never anybody say to me, do you want it paid now?
I know.
And that changed. I didn't have to sell my car. I mean, it was only $4,500, but the money was in the bank the next day.
And
all of a sudden, I had breathing space. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, this will see me for another couple of months now.
It happened to me, James. I had finished a piece of work and I was like, I have nothing. And I remember saying to Mum, I have nothing coming in. And she was like, well, I don't really know what to say. And that was on, like, the thing finished on the Thursday. And then on the Monday, I got a phone call from someone saying, I'm in the shit and I know you can dig me out of it. And that was regular work for months.
Aye.
And I got more work from them and more and more and more. And they've not that long since still offering me work, which is kind of the employability side, which I don't do as much of now. But it can turn like that. And
Absolutely.
it's that kind of, and I've had, you've had it now, I'll pay you early. I always ask, like, even from the big guys, can you pay me in month all up front?
See us now, 50-50. It's 50%. See, as soon as somebody accepts a quote, this is our terms and conditions now.
Yeah.
Because I've got to go, because all our stuff's bespoke.
Yeah.
So somebody's got to build that.
Exactly. And
so we're 50% on acceptance of the quote and 50% at the end of the programme.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
That's
and for my one-to-one work, it's all paid up front. They book on a Calendly link and then they pay, and that's it. And it means I never have to chase.
If they don't turn up, you've just done in an hour or 2 hours of your time.
Exactly. I don't have to chase an invoice.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's brilliant. But the what, you will find the how. And during at the beginning of COVID, I said to someone, I don't know what to do because I don't know how to be a leadership management trainer because nobody's need leadership managed because they're what aim. I can't do this. What do I do? And someone said to me, what do people need right now? And it was jobs. Everybody was, the green banners were going up. Learning development, first out, marketing, second out, all the things you shouldn't get rid of.
But we all did it to save money.
We did it to save money. It's like, I'll never mind keeping the lights on and training our staff, and then months later it's like, shit, we need to train people, nobody knows what they're doing. So I could see it happening because I was on LinkedIn. I was like, oh. And then I had a Facebook group at the time. You
seen the opportunity?
I saw the opportunity. Someone said, you need jobs, Laurie. And I was like, oh, I could. She's like, you can write CVs. That's what I did. It was my job for 3.5 years. You can write a CV. I was like, oh, I suppose I could. So I used to charge £25 for a CV, James, and no word of a lie, I went to work in Tesco right at the start of COVID. I said to Mum, fuck this, I'm not sitting in my house for the next 3 weeks. I can't do that. That'll have to me sir crazy. I'll not get out of bed. I'm going to get up and go to that Tesco across the car park. And I walked in, I said, I'm an ex-retail manager. I don't want to run your shop. I'm happy to stack shelves. And I live across the road. I can walk it for any shift, day or night. And she said, oh my God, you've been sent to me today. Absolutely sent. We desperately need people to direct people around the shop and stack the shelves. And it was the early days of toilet roll gate and all that. So I did 8 weeks of that, and no words of a lie. By the middle to the end of it, my phone was pinging constantly. Laurie, I need a job. I need a CV. Will you help me? Folk willing to pay. And that was it. That started the other side of the business, and that is predominantly, with a bit of associate work, what I do now is the careers and the LinkedIn stuff. So
and the want to, we find out how to.
And I just thought, I need to do it.
Before we wrap up, I'm going to go back to marketing, right? I also remember this. This was in 2019, and it's in my book that my wife is originally from the Middle East, so their thing is gold. Yes. So they're saving. They have 21 karat gold. 22. It's not 24.
22
karat gold.
They're really soft, lovely. Yes, the good stuff.
It's quite yellowy.
Yes.
Yeah, it's quite yellow gold. And I used to like designer watches and all that, right? Obviously oil and gas, and I've made loads of money, and so I had that, like, really nice designer watches. And I remember I put my watches up for sale and she put her gold up for sale. Yeah. And we took all that money and we put every single penny into marketing. And that's what changed the business.
Yeah.
It was that. It was, why do we need this stuff?
Yeah.
Like, we've got all this sitting here. We could really do a right good kick in our marketing. We didn't have the money.
Yeah.
We'd enough money coming in to build the business. We'd enough money coming in to pay the bills. But we didn't have enough money coming in to spend the money I needed to spend on marketing. Because we talked about it. If you're not marketing your business, you're not selling fucking anything.
You can't keep the lights on.
You're not selling anything.
I don't know if you're there.
And that completely changed our business. Just that decision to say, let's just stick it on marketing. Let's go find a Facebook expert. Let's get them. So we put that aside. Here's our budget, and that'll do us for 3 months. And let's reevaluate in 3 or 4 months. Boom.
Different. It's a different
changed
class, isn't it?
The game.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, we've got clients from all over the UK coming to us. I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. And it was that decision. It was that and the want to, you find out how to. Listen, we're getting to the end of the podcast. Ask all my guests this. By the way, it's been brilliant having you on. Ask all my guests this for their top 3 pieces of advice. Now, whether it's looking for a job or starting up a business, what would you, if anybody says to you, I want advice, what would your top 3 pieces of advice be, Laurie? So
for business, get some savings before you start. As I say, it doesn't need to be a huge amount of money, but you need something to start. 2, do not spend loads of money on branding and websites straight away. Get some proof that people will buy what you're selling first. I built my first course on a really cheap basic platform, sold 600 and odd pounds worth, realised it will sell, and then moved it to the shinier, slightly better platform. So sell it first, then upgrade and do all the fancy stuff.
Trial and test.
It's all test, and don't. And the third thing is, when you're launching a product or service, you have to market much more than you'll ever be comfortable with.
Absolutely.
And I've seen great posts about this, and I've written great posts about this, and I've put them in the business groups and said, lassies, here's the amount of emails, Facebook stories, Insta I've done to sell one product. That's the reality, because folk put up 2 posts, James, and then they go, nobody bought.
Aye.
It's not enough.
No.
Nobody's seen it. Nobody knows its existence.
Because the algorithm kicks in, and a very small percentage of people actually see it.
You forget, and I remember last year I was selling something, and I went to my coach and I said, this programme's obviously shite, and so am I. I'm just going to pull it. And she went, no, you're not. You're going to send another 2 emails today. And I went, oh, I'm not. And she said, yes, you are, because you know that the sales come at the last minute. You know this. So you're going to sit in the discomfort and send 2 emails. And I did, and I got the people I wanted on the programme. So market much more than you'll ever want to, if you want the results that you want to get.
Absolutely. I mean, our marketing budget would make you cry.
I know.
You know, but again, it's, I mean, if I actually think about I know I'm away again. If I think about what we actually spend in market, that would have made me Greek just a few years ago.
Oh, I know.
I mean, that would have made me be like,
see what I pay to Zook every month, and I hate the thought of it, but actually, you know what, it works, and I need to do it. It's part of the deal.
Marketing's not a short term. It's a long term.
It's a long term.
And that's what real branding is.
Exactly what you said about that 6 months previously. You'd had that thing. My lead time is long. Folks see me, they like me, but they think, oh, that's fine, but I'll be able to work out how to get a job by myself, because I'm a marketer or I'm an HR person. Different doing it for yourself, James. So it takes folk too long to actually come and say, I need your help, by which time they've spent loads of time foofing about and not getting anywhere. But I know that I've got a long lead, so they need to meet me today to book me before Christmas. And that's how it is, and probably for you too. They need to see you and get exposure to us again and again and again and again and again until they press the button, signing the dotted line, isn't it?
Absolutely. Listen, Laurie, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Loved it.
Before we go, how can people get a hold of you?
So mostly on LinkedIn, Laurie Macpherson. I'm also on Instagram, as Laurie Macpherson, and Facebook as well. And I have my website, just lauriemacpherson.com.
Brilliant. Listen, all the details will be in the podcast. As I said, it's been an absolute pleasure, and thank you so much.
Great to talk.